Hey there everybody, welcome to our little Blender course, little 5-part Blender series here. So I thought this would be a cool thing to do because there's so much stuff you can do with this program, but I know it's a little intimidating the first time you look at it because there's a lot of little button switches everywhere. So I'm going to take this time to show you where you can get the software. We'll take a little tour through it, and then we'll start making some basic things. We'll make a little Minecraft style character, and hopefully by the end, you're a little more comfortable with the interface, and we can start making some cooler stuff in the next few videos. So if you don't know where you need to go, you've got to go to blender.org. So I'm in Firefox here. You can get there with any browser you like. And then straight on the front page, you've got Download Blender 2.92. So we're going to click right here. And that takes us to the download page. And we're going to click again, Download. If you're on a different version, you can click there. You can get all your different options there. You can also get, let's see, if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can get experimental versions that have the latest features, but we're not really interested in that. We just want the basic big blue button here, Download Blender 2.92. You are breathtaking. Well, thank you, Blender. I think you're pretty cool too. Okay, so then you can save this file. I'm just going to click cancel because I've already done it, but oh heck, let's go through the whole thing. Let's go through it all together. Let's experience this as 4 seconds. Whoa. That's wild. That's wildness. Okay, and whoop, here we go. Doo-doo. And we're gonna run. And it's computing some space. Okay, Blender setup. Let's just go next, next, next. I'm not gonna change anything here. And you know what, this might just be showing up, because I've already got it installed. So this should just let you go straight through. I'll just click cancel because, like I said, I've already got it installed on my system. And once you've got it installed, let's open it up. So here we go, Blender, click. And now it opens, and the first thing you're probably going to see a slightly different screen, because the very first time you open it, it's going to ask if you want to use left click to select things, and if you want to use the Blender key map, or if you want to use the industry standard key map. So already we're off to some kind of confusion, like what is all this? So left click select is the way pretty much every other software works. If you're in Firefox, you click on a link with left click. You want to maybe download it, you can right click and it gives you a little menu where you can choose stuff. If that's the way you want to work, then left click is the way to go. And we're just going to stick with the Blender key map for right now. We're just going to keep it all nice and basic. There's a lot of different little shortcuts and little things that you can do in Blender that make you really fast and make a lot of things really quick and efficient. We're not really going to be looking at any of those because, like I said, I want to make this nice and friendly for beginners. So we're going to be, clicking in menus. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with mouse. I'm going to be explaining, everything that we're doing. So if you've chosen, you've got your left click, you've got your Blender key map selected, and we can go with just general. And look, here we are in the Blender land. We've got a cube here. We've got a little thing up here. It's a light. You can see when we click on something here, the same thing gets highlight over there. So what if we click on this one? That's a camera. Okay, so we've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a light. Next we're going to, you know what, actually, this is a little bit of an advanced thing, but there's a way that you can interface? Yes. Zoom things up a little bigger, so I think this should make things a little easier. Let's go 1.5 for everybody watching. Okay. So, we've got our cube, we got our light, we got our camera. If we want to change, move around, see what this looks like, we've got this thing up here, where we can click and drag, and that'll let us move around our whole scene. So now we're facing the camera, and now we're looking from behind the camera. Woo, 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 swinging around. So this big X, Y, Z up here, that's going to let us move our scene around. So let's say we've got it like that, but you know what? I want to be actually focused on this light up here instead. So how do we move this whole screen around? Well, we're going to scroll down. We got a little grabby. Move the view here, so we can just drag, move that around. Grabby, move. Grabby, drag. Okay, and we skipped over this one, but you can probably guess what it does. The magnifying glass zooms in and out. In and out. So with these three things, we can kind of get anywhere we need to go. So we can move this around, grab the hand, drag the cube back to the middle if that's what we want to look at. Move that cube back to the middle, and there we go. Kind of back to where we started from. So now we know how to get around our scene. We know how to click on objects, that'll select them, and we know what they're called because this thing gets lit up on the right hand side here. So where should we go to next? Well, let's take a look at this little guy up here. Because like I said, there's a whole ton of different options, different buttons, lots of things. You don't really need to worry about most of them. There's just a few that you'll need to look at to kind of bear in mind for the first little while when you're just getting started. So these ones, we've looked at a few of those already. They're pretty important. We're going to get to this one up here too, because this one is pretty important too. This controls what we're actually seeing. So there's a few kind of different viewing options here, and if you hold your mouse over top of it, it'll tell you. So it says viewport shading, wireframe. So if we click on that, now we can see we've just got a wire. So it's just the outline that we can see now. If we go back to this, we can see solid is what this one's called, display in solid mode. So we'll click there, and now it's solid again. So this next one, I'm not sure if this next one will make a big difference, really. This one's called Material Preview. Oh yeah, it does look a little different. Okay, so we'll click here, and this one's, it's a little more subtle. So you can click, you can see this one's kind of grayish looking. When we click on this next one here, Material Preview, it looks a little whiter. So the lighting kind of changed a little bit. And then what's this very last one? Rendered. So we'll click there. And now we can see it kind of looks a little bit like this this one over here. So what is going on over here? What is this showing us? So on this left side here, wireframe, this is just showing us the lines, the points, the actual outline of the geometry. This next one takes that first one and just fills in all the faces. So when we're here, we can see, okay, there's a line here. It makes like a square on top, and we'll move this around so you can kind of see. So we've got like a square on top. We got another square on the front. We got another square over here. So it's all squares. So if we click solid, you can see all those squares get filled in. Nice, easy. We click Material Preview, and that's going to give us a bit of a preview of what it's sort of made of. So right now it's just a basic cube, but we could have this, look hairy. We could have it look like scales. We could have it look like water. We could have it look like slime. So depending on how we have the material set up, there will be a pretty big change between solid and Material Preview. And Material Preview is going to show you just that stuff, just like the sort of furriness, just the roughness, the shininess of it. And then Rendered, the last option here, is going to show you what it looks like based on, the light being here, the light being that intense. So speaking of the light being there, let's move around our scene again. You can kind of see the light is lighting up this side. We go back. It's still dark on this side, so let's go back over here and let's move. Now that we've kind of got like these, we're not really going to worry about this. This stuff isn't going to make such a big difference for us right now. So we've got this kind of stuff under our belt right here, and now we're going to move right over to this section here. So let's say I don't like that light being there. I want it to be over there. How do we get that to happen? So we're going to look at our tools. And if you move your mouse around here, you can see it's turning into that little sort of crossbar thing. So if you click and drag there, it'll show you the name of all of these. And I find this is pretty helpful. Once you get to know it pretty well, you can bring them all down and have them just be icons. It's nice and saves you a lot of screen space. But when you're first getting to know it, it's handy to be able to see the actual name. So when I say, you know, the move tool, you know which one I'm going for. And speaking of, we're going to click on the move tool. You can see it lights up blue, and then you can see, maybe we'll zoom out a tiny bit. We've got this funky looking thing now here. So it kind of looks like this over here. And just the same way that this lets us move the view around, so the angle that we're looking from, this will let us move the light around. So we're going to click on the red line, and you can see now that part of the cube is all dark, and this side's all lit up. So we'll move it back to where it was, and you can see the light is changing as we move things around. Now, if we were to go back into, say, solid mode and move this light around, it's not making any difference. So that is basically the difference between the view modes up here. Wireframe lets you see just the basic outline. Solid fills in those outlines. Material Preview will show you kind of what you've got your material made of, which we haven't got into yet. So if you don't understand that, that's okay. And then Rendered will actually apply all the different lights that you have in the scene, and it'll figure out where all the highlights are, where all the dark spots are, where all the shadows should be, and it'll update it dynamically based on where your light is in the scene. So if you've got, you know, a whole big like subway scene and you've got cars going back and forth and lights flickering, that'll all be calculated in rendered mode. So we can move into solid mode just to keep things nice and easy. So I'm going to move this light back to where it is, or where it was, and let's rotate our viewport around a little bit more. And now let's move this cube. So once you click on something, if you've got a tool activated, that'll let you move whichever thing you're clicked on. So we click on the camera, we can move the camera. We click on the cube, we can move the cube. So if you grab the white ring in the center, you can just move it wherever you want, anywhere you want. If you grab one of the arrows instead, you can see that blue line lights up, or if I grab the green one, a green line lights up. It's going to move it just along that line. So if you want something to be, you know, exactly where it is, but just a little bit back, or just, a little bit up off the ground, or a little bit down, you know, touching the ground, then you can grab just the one arrow for the way you want it to move, and that can be pretty precise. So, speaking of moving, you can maybe see on the right-hand side here, as I'm moving things, these numbers over here are changing. So we've got the move tool on, we're moving things, and of course, as we move, we're adjusting the location. So you can see up here, the green line is marked Y. So when I grab the green line here, the Y number changes. And let's say I don't want to grab this green line, you know, let's say I have my mouse over here, I'm doing stuff over here. You can just grab it from over here and just move these. You don't need to use the move tool. So one of the cool things about Blender is there's about 1 million different ways to do every last little thing you want to do. And that's also one of the frustrating things about Blender. Because there's so many different ways to do everything, it can be a little intimidating to learn. So I'm just showing you that one as a little bit of get you going. If there's if you happen to notice something was happening over here, you don't have to use this move tool. You could use these options over here, and I'll give you a reason why you might want to use those instead. Because we're going to click. We are finished with our move tool for right now. We're going to move on to our rotate tool. So I click on our rotate tool, and same thing, if I just want to rotate it around like that, I can just grab the color that I want to rotate it around, and if I want to rotate it, you know, every which direction, I can grab the white line. So individual colors for individual axes, and white line is everything all at once. Okay, so now you can see I've got my rotate tool, I'm doing a bunch of rotating, I'm spinning things around. What if I want to move it now? Well, I could go back to the move tool, click over there, do that, click back to the rotate tool when I want to continue rotating, and then click on the scale tool, which again works the same way. Blue will scale it up one direction, green scales it up another direction, or use the white to scale it up in every direction all at once. And I'll scale it down again a little bit. So yeah, you can just click each of these tools, go through each one, or if you wanted, you could leave it on whichever one you think is the most common one you're going to use. Let's say it's the move tool. We move this over here, and then we want to rotate it a little bit more, and we want to rotate it that way, and then we want to scale it up, and then we want to move it. So this panel over here is a nice handy little shortcut that'll get you through all of these tools at once. And speaking of all of these tools at once, here is the transform tool, which is a combination of literally all of those tools at once. So I find this one gets a little bit overwhelming just because there's so many different, spaces you can click. But like I said, there's a million different ways to do everything in Blender. Whichever way works for you best, whichever way makes the most sense for you, that's the way you should go. Okay, so that gets us through the, how to get around the viewport, how to change what we're actually looking at, and how to, move, scale, and rotate objects. Let's look at one more thing in this menu right here. In this screen right here. We're going to go to Add. Now, Add will let you add whatever you'd like. So one of my favorite things is the monkey. So we take the monkey, and let's move the monkey up so we can see it. And let's rotate the monkey, not that way, rotate the monkey around so we can see the monkey face. And you know what, let's get rid of this thing. So I'm just going to delete that there. And monkey, you should be bigger. Let's scale you up. Lovely. I love it, Suzanne. Suzanne is the name of the monkey. Okay, so we've added an object here. Let's see, what else can we add? We could add mesh. You've got spheres. You've got a cylinder. Oh, torus, that's a donut. I'm going to move that. Oops, move that donut over here. Okay, so we've got a monkey. We got a donut. Things are looking good. Let's say we want to make this donut a certain color. So let's go back into our material preview, or we could even go straight into rendered. So if you've got a simple scene, rendered will probably work fine. If you've got an older computer and you've got something more advanced, maybe you've got a full character, maybe you've got a full animation, rendered can sometimes be a little bit too much for older computers or for really complex advanced scenes. So that's one of the reasons why you might want to be in solid or material preview. I think in this case we should be fine doing rendered. Okay, so I'm going to move the light over here so we can kind of see what we're looking at, and then I'm going to click on Suzanne. I'm going to click on Select Box because that will get rid of that little, if you've got the Move tool up, you might have this thing. It's kind of bugging you. It's bugging me. I'll be real. It's just bugging me. Okay, so with Suzanne selected, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a basic color, a basic material to her. So just like we saw over here, we've got this thing for our location, rotation, and scale. Along this side here, along these tabs, we're going to scroll down to the bottom till we get to a sort of beach ball checker looking thing. This is, material properties. It pops up right there. So I'm going to click on these, and we're going to add a new material to Suzanne. So just click New, and we can call it whatever we want. Let's call it Suzanne Material. Perfect. Okay, and now we scroll down here, and here's where we get into all the fun little options. So I'm going to say, let's see, it's a monkey. We can click on this white here, base color. This is going to be the basic color that it's going to be. Everything else is going to be sort of modifying or based on this. So I'm going to say we want sort of a brownish monkey. That monkey is looking brown. Perfect. Love a brown monkey. We're going to ignore a bunch of these because we just want to kind of keep things basic. So there's a lot of really advanced things that you can do in Blender. You can make things look super realistic. You can make things look super unrealistic. But for right now, we're just going to touch on the most basic parts. So I got the base color down. It's brown. Next, I'm going to look at, let's see, specular. So specular is like how the really bright, shiny lights make dots on things. That's a really terrible explanation, but that's okay. We don't really need to understand what specular is for now. I'm just going to turn it down. And here, this is probably a better point. If you don't understand what something does, if you're not sure, turn it up and down and see what changes. And if you don't see any changes, like if, for instance, you're in solid mode and you're like, "What? I thought guy said it would change, and like I turned it brown, and it's not brown. Why is all this going on? I don't understand." Make sure you're in either material preview or rendered mode, because that's the way you actually will see these material changes. So again, if you're in solid mode, you don't see the material things because you need to be in at least material preview mode. And remember, going left to right is showing you more. So wireframe, that's the least amount of info. You know, it's good info. Maybe it's what you need. It looks pretty cool, I think. But then as you go on, you're adding more and more info. So this is just adding solid shading. This is adding the material stuff that we're doing here. And then this is adding the lighting in the scene. Okay, so roughness, we've got specular down. Let's turn roughness all the way down. Let's turn roughness all the way up. That didn't make much of a difference. Whatever. That's okay. So we got Suzanne. She's brown. I'm loving it. I'm happy with life. Let's get this donut here, and let's do the same thing again. So we're on the material properties already. Let's give it a new material, and we're going to call this donut. And what color should it be? Let's make it, I feel like a pink donut. Okay. And once again, let's turn down that specular. I don't know why. I just like the way it looks better. And yeah, there we go. We got ourselves a pink donut and a brown monkey. So what a beautiful scene. I can't even put it into words. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our scene through the camera. So if you want to do that, you can click on camera right here. And then, oh, this is not the best spot to be. So if this is not where you want to be, we can click out of the camera view. And you know what? This view right here, we kind of set up exactly what we want our camera view to be right here. So what can we do? Well, there's a neat little shortcut for that in Blender. View, align view, align active camera to view. Click there, and now all of a sudden, we got our camera pointed in the direction that we want it to. So if we want to see what we're getting right now, we can go up to this button right here, Render, and click Render Image. And that shows us the beautiful result of what we've done. So let's say we're not happy with that. You know what, this isn't as great composition as I had hoped. Let's take this. Let's do a little bit of moving around. We're just going to move you like this, Suzanne. We're going to take the donut here. We're going to move it like that. Okay, down, back a bit, over here a little bit. Okay, yeah, this is working. Here we go. Suzanne in donut. Okay, now we go render image, and there we go. We have rendered ourselves a couple of neat little images. Okay, so I'm going to get out of camera view. Going to rotate my scene around, and you know what? I'm just going to get rid of Suzanne, get rid of that, and we are going to start